بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. عن عبد الله بن عمرو رضي الله عنهما أن رجلا جاء إلى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فقال: يا رسول الله، ما عمل الجنة؟ قال: الصدق. إذا صدق العبد بر، وإذا بر آمن، وإذا آمن دخل الجنة. قال: يا رسول الله، وما عمل النار؟ قال: الكذب. إذا كذب العبد فجر، وإذا فجر كفر، وإذا كفر يعني دخل النار. رواه أحمد. Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As radiyallahu anhu narrated that a man came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and he said, O Messenger of Allah, what is the action that leads to Jannah? The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam replied, truth. When a person speaks truth, he does good. And when he does good and righteousness, he becomes a believer in Allah. And when a person becomes a believer in Allah, then he enters Jannah. Then the man asked, O Messenger of Allah, what is the action that leads to fire? The Prophet ﷺ replied, lying. When a person lies, he commits sins. And when a person commits sins and transgression, he is led to disbelieve in Allah. And when a person disbelieves in Allah, he enters fire. SubhanAllah, look at what the truth and lying will lead to. Truth will lead to Jannah. And according to this hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, truth is so significant that it is the most important action that becomes the stepping stone of all the other good deeds that eventually leads to Jannah. On the other hand, lying is considered the action that leads to hellfire. Because when a person lies, he does other sins as well. And those other sins will eventually lead him to disbelieve in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Either completely disbelieve in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or partially disbelieve in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Both are destructive. Both are equally destructive. Whether a person disbelieves in Allah partially or totally, it's all going to have the same consequences. Because either you believe in Islam in its entirety, or you don't believe in Islam in its entirety. If a person says, I accept this and this and this from Islam, but I don't accept this, that Islam is not good and that Islam is not valid. If a person says, I accept all the ayahs of Quran except one ayah, that puts them out of the fold of Islam. You have to either believe in all of Islam, in all of Quran, or you don't believe in any of Islam or any of Quran. You can't be a partial Muslim. You can't be a partial believer. Just like when it comes to eating food, you can't have 70% halal and 30% haram and say it's okay, at least majority of my food is halal, only 30% is haram. There's ground beef that is sold in Restaurant Depot, which is halal, which is fine. But there is one type, it says 73-27. So people think 73% is halal and 27% is not halal. That's about how much fat is there, how much lean is, how much of it is lean and how much is fat. It's not 70, but the way it's written, it sounds like 73% is halal and 27% is not halal. So either you take all of it or you leave all of it. You cannot cherry pick in Islam and you cannot cherry pick in Quran. But this is how important truth and lying is. Truth will lead you to Jannah because it becomes that foundational action, that foundational deed that leads to paradise, and lying is that foundational bad deed that leads to other sins that eventually leads to hellfire.